You push the hips forward, you expand the chest, you open your mouth, you let your tongue fall out, and you... Samson falls in love with Delilah, and she repeatedly tries to uncover the secret of his profound strength. After several failed attempts, Samson eventually reveals that his strength comes from his uncut hair, which is a symbol of dedication to God. Delilah betrays him by having his hair cut while he sleeps, and as a result, he loses his strength and is captured. The Philistines blinded Samson and imprisoned him, but his hair begins to grow back. In a final act of strength, Samson brings down the temple of the Philistine god Dagon, killing himself and many Philistines in the process. So the above story, I'm sure you've heard it before. It makes me want to grow I think I'm going to grow my hair. I'm going to grow my hair out nice and long like Samson, because my power can also be derived from my uncut hair. Of course, it's very synonymous and symbolic, as the particular author of this Reddit post has described here. Codified about SR, Samson's true strength does not come from his hair, of course, but from his abstinence. And when he indulges in the pleasure of ejaculation with Delilah, he loses his strength. It's interesting to note that as soon as he is in a relationship with a woman, now his strength starts to become less so. As he starts retaining it again when he's in prison, growing back his hair, he gets his strength back. So today's video is an exploration into the role of trauma exercises that can be very conducive to undoing energetic blocks in the body. Now, I've had a lot of trauma in my life, and I've actually learned about some of the exercises before that I'll share with you at the end of the video that I think are very, very powerful. And when I've done them, I've noticed a profound release, a removal of tension and nervous energy in my body, liberating this kind of energy. And it shows up in different areas. I feel stronger, I feel more flexible, I feel more open and whole and fluid in that way. It feels like you're no longer heavy or bound or, I suppose, tight and taut in the world. And I think we all have trauma. I don't know your story, my friend, but I'm sure you haven't had an easy life. And one of the biggest problems, I believe, with people not fully embracing the energy and the benefits of SR, of sexual alchemy, is because you're getting stuck. The energy is not allowing itself to fully permeate into your energetic centers, your chakras, because of this trauma that is bound up in the form of nervous energy that is not allowing the free flow of this particular energy. Now, this Reddit post is very, very long. If you want to read it, I will show you that the author's name is Naya Yogi, and the title is The Truth About SR Flatline in Trauma under the Long-Term TRE subreddit. So if you want to watch it, read it, pardon me, then it's there for you to read. It goes into introductions about SR, about Bhagavad Gita texts in reference to this particular practice, Kareza, like the secrets of the golden flower. This is a Taoist text, the story of Samson, which I think is a good opener for today. But I'm going to skip through all of that. You know, we know about the benefits. We know about increased energy and vitality and personal magnetism and increased attraction from other individuals, especially women. It seems magical. We know about these things. We understand the flatline, but the truth is something that perhaps many of us find difficult to accept, or perhaps perhaps difficult to reason and rationalize. And I hope with some of my diagrams here on the right hand side, I can kind of show you the reasoning behind why these things happen. So the truth, unfortunately, the dynamics of SR are not so easily depicted in those dedicated subs, such as being creative and working out. Do little to get back the benefits that were once experienced by the now confused practitioners, although there are still valid reasons to engage in those worldly activities. So just for greater context, many people typically get this honeymoon period of benefits, of energy, and then they go back into this lull, they go back into this flatline, or perhaps they don't experience the energy at all because of those energetic blocks. The truth is, well, I've actually highlighted it better here. The truth is that SR brings up trauma to the surface from the unconscious, where it manifests as muscular and mental tension. This kind of tension acts as an energetic blockage in the nervous system. You can imagine SR like opening a spring inside your pelvic floor, a spring of sexual energy that starts to well up and overflow, since there is no longer a physical outlet for that energy. But due to all the blockages in the body, there will soon be no place for the energy to go, and the pressure or the nervous tension will start to rise. Soon you will be like a walking pressure cooker ready to burst at any time. If there is still no release, the body starts to shut down energetically to protect itself and tries to release the energy via wet dreams. So wet dreams are not conducive to you retaining this particular energy. It may be the case that your body is readjusting. There is that period, of course, but long term, this shouldn't be something that is happening to you. You should be able to transmute that energy via nervous tension to different areas of the nervous system. One of the way it looks like is this free-flowing, unified energy. You can see in this particular diagram there is no blockages. You can imagine the 7 chakra centers going up the spine, and you've got this free-flowing electromagnetic energy from the north pole of the body and the south pole of the body. So this is the generation. This is your aura. And in a more Western vernacular, your nervous system starts to emit a greater and greater circumference, and it starts to influence the areas around you. So your nervous system is electric, and its influence doesn't stop at your fingertips. It goes beyond that, as long as the energy is not bound up in any kind of nervous tension in the form of, muscular armoring or trauma or any kind of knots and other muscular tonicness, I guess you could say. Now, in my estimation, the answer to this are a combination or a preference, whatever you have, in these 3 particular words. Catharsis. Catharsis is my favorite word to describe the antidote to this particular problem. You might better understand it as liberation of nervous energy, bioenergetics, or purging as well. So we'll start off with TRE. Now, I did a video a while ago on the specifics of TRE, but I suppose more nuance is always valuable in these particular cases. So these are exercises designed to help the individual release deep chronic tension stored in the body, as a result of traumatic experiences or prolonged stress. So these are exercises designed to help individuals release deep chronic tension stored in the body as a result of a traumatic experience or prolonged stress. This was developed by Dr. David Bersili, a bioenergetics therapist and a social worker. So there's some ties in bioenergetics and TRE for sure. I believe the outcome is essentially the same, but perhaps the process in which you get there can be different. Now, these exercises primarily involve a series of simple and gentle movements that activate a natural shaking or trembling response in the body. We all have this tremor response in the body because we are still a biological organism. This trembling mechanism is part of the body's natural way to release and discharge tension, promoting a relaxation and reducing the impact of traumatic experiences. This is one particular exercise that an individual can do to start to release the nervous tension and the energy. You bring yourself into the position denoted here. You bring your heels together and you do a glute bridge. So you're pushing into your heels and you're picking up the hips and you're pushing into your heels for approximately a minute. You then drop the hips and then you raise the knees about 2 inches to 4 inches. The idea is that you're pre-exhausting the muscles around the pelvic floor, around the hips, especially the glutes. Once they are fatigued and you start to bring your body into this kind of, I suppose, half butterfly position with the femurs, you start to incur this tremor response. Your body will take over and you'll naturally start shaking. Your knees will kind of do this kind of motion like this. And you'll start to notice this travel all the way up your body. You might feel it releasing in your back and various different places where you're holding tension. The primary thesis behind this is that in fight or flight scenarios, typically running away and fighting aren't commensurate with civility in the modern Western world. It's more indicative of an animal response. So the third option is that people typically freeze. And the analogy I always give for this is like, imagine you're pushing the accelerator on the car, which is the fight response, or the brake in the car in terms of a flight response. A freezing is you're pushing the brake and the accelerator together. And the danger with that is all that nervous energy, the cortisol running through your blood, the adrenaline running through your blood, gets trapped in the musculature of your body, in the actual fascia of the body. And it starts to create tension, and trauma gets stored in the actual musculature. And the way to release it is by incurring or going back to a moment where you can allow this body to go through this natural tremor response. I pulled this particular comment from an individual that tried this the first time, which I thought would be nice to read to you. So, oh my God, that was incredible. I'm in such an incredible state of euphoria right now. It's like the best cry I've had, but with no sorrow. First, my legs shuddered gently and then harshly, and then my pelvis, my stomach, my hands, finally my arms, and then my legs and hips were swaying back and forth while my arms took on a life of their own. I started to sweat towards the end. So I know this might sound woo-woo, but if you do this correctly, this is a automatic response your body does. It's really important you do this in private. You have to allow your body to be vulnerable and shake. And it will shake if you pre-exhaust the muscles. I started giggling, then laughing with tears. And as I'm writing this down, I'm still chuckling and my stomach muscles are contracting deeply. I've always held tension in my stomach. My calves are always very tense. But right now my arms and legs feel like they're floating. So a lot of people, even I'm trying to get into my belly now, have so much tension in this area because they're holding on, they're clenching. But when's the last time you had a deep belly laugh, right? You start to get all that nervous tension out. Laughing is another form of catharsis because it's a energetic release. And it's very, very powerful. Like you feel, like how good do you feel after you, like I love watching stand-up comedy. Some of my favorites, Joe Rogan, I like Tom Segura. Probably watch too much American stuff, but for the UK, I like Frankie Boyle, very, very dark humor. But that good belly laugh where you can kind of release all your inhibitions and you can just let go. That's what TRE really is. It's a letting go. The wind-up period was a good 5 minutes, and I thought, this is just muscle fatigue, what's the deal? But as I continued doing the butterfly exercises, I began to fully tremor, and I knew I was onto something real. I tremored for about 10 to 15 minutes or possibly longer. I felt amazing. I didn't want to stop, but I know I should. I was skeptical at first, but I kept an open mind, and I'm so glad I did this. This is very real. At first, I thought the tremors were psychosomatic. This was my thought as well, or that I was doing it unconsciously. I just had to stop myself from resisting a few times and just let it go. Every time I did, the body just took on a life of its own, doing wild and unexpected things and moving upwards through the muscle groups unexpectedly. There's no way my conscious was responsible for this. I was consciously responsible for this. I had full awareness. I could pause at any time, read, but each time I surrendered, my body took back over and continued. So you get the picture here, a lot of euphoria, a lot of releasing, a lot of letting go, a lot of trauma-free, a lot of gratitude in this particular exercise. I would encourage you, perhaps watch some videos on this. There's some useful videos online that kind of show you. But it's a simple case of pre-exhausting the muscles and letting go, being vulnerable. This is now your opportunity to allow your body to go through its natural response because of a trauma without any judgment. Because that's the difference. When you're in public, when something happens to you, we're just berated with so much dogma, so much heaviness in terms of how we should act, how we should respond. Look, there's something about perhaps being stoic in the face of danger. I understand that. But also you have to recognize that your body will find one way or another of expressing that particular energy. If it's not in the form of tension, it can be in the form of tension release, and this one is far healthier. Now, this is very, very valuable. I mentioned bioenergetics being acutely similar. So I'll just go through this definition here. Alexander Lowen, a real pioneer in this particular industry. But this therapy focuses on the relationship between a person's emotional experience, their physical body, and overall this flow of energy within the soma. The form of therapy often incorporates physical exercises, breathing techniques, and body awareness to help individuals release emotional tension, improve self-awareness, and promote overall well-being. And these are some really good books that I've read that I would recommend if you're interested in delving into the subject deeper. However, I wanted to show you or share with you the Taoist arch, which is another posture that can incur some of these tremors. The difference in my estimation between TRE and bioenergetics is that you're not pre-exhausting the muscles with bioenergetics. There may be some postures in which you're doing this, but the Taoist arch is one where, I mean, this profile here probably shows it a little bit better, where you put the fists into the lower back, you push the hips forward, you expand the chest, you open your mouth, you let your tongue fall out, and you breathe like that in this position. And it is very, very, very stressful on the body because the hips are in a position that they've never been in, and the thoracic extension is very, very prominent, which is another position that we're rarely in. We're typically in the antithesis of this, meaning the hips are actually flexed forward and the shoulders and the chest are flexed forward in this kyphotic position. But when you put them into a position that they're rarely in and you breathe very, very deeply into the belly, it's very, very hard to breathe in this position. You will start to tremor, you will start to shake. Indulge me for just a moment. Do this now. Pause the video. Do this right now. Really go over. Open your whole mouth. Let the tongue fall and breathe like that for a minute. You will start shaking like a leaf. And once you come back into your normal posture, you will feel this head rush. You will feel this lightness. You have such an upsurge of energy. It is unbelievable. Sometimes I do this before videos to kind of like amp me up, but it is incredibly powerful, this particular exercise. And this is releasing all of the tension in the psoas, which is the hip muscle, because it's so tight and so tonic, especially with sexual problems. It's very integral in that part. And also the muscles in the neck, in the chest, in the shoulders. Very, very tight, very, very tonic. So when you do this, you start to break down the stagnant blood, the tension in the fascia, and the energetic release is unparalleled to anything that you will experience. And then the last one, gentlemen, pranayama, which of course means breath control, or prana meaning life force or vital energy, and ayama meaning control, so control of the life force energy. And this is how we manipulate the different ways that we inhale, exhale, and retain breath. I've got some videos up on my Patreon on spinal breathing, on how to start to move this nervous energy consciously from the pelvic floor up into the different nerve plexuses, the solar plexus, the heart plexus, the throat plexus, the third eye plexus. And, it's getting a lot of love on the Patreon. And the real value is recognizing that we have to practice the fundamentals like breathing every single day. So I do my meditation or some form or variation of breath work. It could be Tumo. It could be holotropic breathing. Holotropic breathing, actually, in terms of tension release, might be the most powerful form of pranayama or breath control, whatever vernacular you want to use. But the challenge with holotropic is that it's long, meaning you're breathing hard for an hour plus, and you can go into some transcendental states. Maybe a short run up to that would be something like Wim Hof, 3 rounds of very, very aggressive breath work and breath retention for up to 2 minutes to 3 minutes. And you will start to get things like tetany, which is like a cramping in the fingers. You might shake, you might cry, you might laugh hysterically. But all we're doing here, guys, if I can just zoom out, is we're trying to make our energy flow freely throughout the body without any tension. Unfortunately, through trauma, through just life, we build up a lot of tension when we don't even notice it. You know, perhaps our girlfriend breaks up with us and you can feel that cramping in your stomach or the tension in your chest, or maybe your hands are clenching, maybe your jaw is clenching. Now is an opportunity to unclench. That is essentially what we're doing when we're doing TRE, bioenergetics, pranayama, is unclenching, is allowing that free flow of energy. Please let me know how you get on with these exercises. Go lightly to start, especially with something like TRE. Again, breathwork guided videos are on Patreon if you want to support me and follow along with, I think we're up to like 80 members now. So thank you if you're already subscribed. And these aren't theories today, gentlemen. These are cold, hard facts. Speak soon.